Access, free access to information is vital to any democracy. In Canada, the public has a legal right to most public documents, which they can get through Freedom of Information requests. But a new investigation by the Globe and Mail claims governments are routinely breaking the law when it comes to fulfilling those requests. So they have launched a new website called Secret Canada to fight back. And joining us now are investigative journalists Robin Doolittle and Tom Cardoso. Welcome to your morning.
Morning.
First of all, why? Why do this exposure of, lack of access?
Tom and I are both investigative reporters at the Globe and Mail. We both use FOI requests a lot in our reporting. We've been doing this our entire career, and like most journalists, we spend a lot of time complaining about the system, getting back huge stacks of blacked out paper, filing requests that never come back, and we finally said, enough. Let's just try to turn our investigative skills on the system itself and point out why it is so hard for the people, for taxpayers, to get information from their public institutions.
So let's talk about the taxpayers. Freedom of information requests are used by journalists. They teach you how to use them in journalism school. But why should the regular public care about them so much?
Well, the primary users of freedom of information are actually the public and businesses. It's not journalists. It's not academics.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's not gadflies. It's people who are wanting to learn about trash pickup or about their property, what used to be on this lot. It's people like that. And it's businesses trying to find out about contracts and all that kind of stuff. So those are really the primary users. And that was a big revelation for us when we were doing this work. We didn't really realize that it was going to be so public-centered. And we heard from a lot of people across the country who have been using the system and become very frustrated by it.
You had to use Freedom of Information requests, the system, as a means of doing investigative work. So how did that go?
Well, it was very interesting. Every Freedom of Information request that we filed served two purposes. It was a request for information from these governments, and it was also a test. How are they going to respond to this? Are they going to take too long? Are they going to, come up with all of these redactions or, reasons to deny us? The entire province of Alberta said no to our requests. So we've, in filing these requests, we've learned a lot about how the system is managed and operated by these different governments.
So it then goes against, the very thing that it's called, which is freedom of information. Doesn't seem like it's very free. The Globe sent 253, do I have that number right?
Yeah.
Freedom of information requests to every department and ministry in this country. This is part of a national audit. What did you find out?
So we sent 253 requests to every ministry and department, as you mentioned, to measure their performance on how different bodies were responding to these requests. We also interviewed hundreds of people who work in the system. What we found is that, as you said earlier, governments and public institutions across this country are breaking the law when it comes to FOI. They're blowing their deadlines, they're overusing redactions, they're not doing proper searches, they're underfunding and undertraining and understaffing their FOI units. And I think what is just so crucial to hit over and over again when we talk about this issue is freedom of information exists so that we, the people, can actively engage in our democracy. If you don't know what's going on, you can't express yourself. You can't participate in civil society. And governments are breaking the law. These laws were put in place for a reason. They are the foundation of democracy. And we are trying to get everybody to know about this, to care about this, and say enough is enough.
What's the recourse? When people break the law, there's usually a recourse. So then what's the recourse for departments, businesses, ministries that aren't giving the information?
Well, this is a huge issue. There are literally no consequences for governments who are breaking the law on this front. There are appeals bodies. If you file a request, say, oh, I'm interested in this report on class size at my school board, and they say no, you can file an appeal. That process can take years. And at the end, even if you win, a lot of the time what's going to happen is the government is just going to be forced to give you the record that you asked for in the first place. So we need to change the culture in this country that has a very unhealthy obsession with secrecy and flip the script on this and have some consequences.
Yeah, because the argument back is that you have the right to ask, but I don't necessarily have to give you that information. That sort of seems to be the mindset. That is not what the law says, I understand.
No, the law is very specific that there are only a certain number of reasons why you can withhold a document from the public. And those reasons were really built around things like national security, personal information. I shouldn't be able to get Robin's medical health files or whatever, right? But for the most part, this information is supposed to be publicly available, and the default should be to release the information, but that's not what we're finding in our work.
Yeah, these are departments that you pay for as a taxpayer. You have a right to this information.
These are your documents, yeah.
Yeah, your documents.
Secretcanada.com is where we've put together this unprecedented resource that everybody can go online and see what their public institutions are releasing. So we're trying to fill that gap that has existed in the country.
Great to have you both on here today. Thank you for your openness to information. No redactions. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Anne-Marie.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.